not stick in your memory, but I was out in Malibu interviewing Booker T and Priscilla for a Rita Coolidge special, and you were downstairs in, I guess, their folks' apartment, and
I'll be darned.
sort of grinning. This is just for a minute, just passing through and sort of grinning. Little did I know then that you and Booker were working on a project.
Yeah, that's where the Stardust album got started. That's where we started putting it together, Booker and I.
Booker was an interesting choice for a producer. Have you been like friends for a long time?
Well, not really. I'd been a fan of his for a long time, and he married Rita's sister, Priscilla, and so I became acquainted with him through Priscilla and Rita. And just so happened that they were living in the apartment over on in Malibu, right above the one where I was living. And it just, I don't know, I guess something happened. Maybe Rita got us the apartment. I don't know how we wound up underneath Booker. It wasn't intentional on my part. But since we were there, we hung out together, and the idea came up for Booker to produce and arrange the Stardust album for me, which I'd been wanting to do for a long time, and I was just waiting for somebody that I thought could pull it together and do the arranging and producing on it. And I just figured he might be the guy, and sure enough, he was.
Was he into all those old songs, too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he knew all those songs. In fact, when I told him the idea that I was trying to do, well, he started kicking off names and titles, too, so he came up with 2 or 3 that we put in the album that he remembered.
Were these songs you were playing as a kid, were there like a reason for these particular tunes?
Well, they were just my favorite songs. These are songs that I've been listening to and singing since, like we say, since I was a kid. And my sister used to play them on the piano. She'd go buy all the sheet music to these songs. It wasn't like country songs with 3 chords in them where I could sit down with a guitar and figure it out myself. When you had all the diminishes and minors and so forth that these songs had in them, well, I needed a better musician than I was to teach them to me. So that's where my sister would come in. She would figure it out she'd read the music and find the chords, and then while she was learning it on the piano, I was learning it on the guitar.
When you were discovering some limitations in the country form even back then?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, there's, in other words, there's some songs that call for more than 3 chords, and there's some that don't.
I see. I wanted to ask you, because I'm sure we'll ease into this, about this whole outlaw thing. I'm kind of confused because I always hear this expression brought up.
You haven't been robbed today? Well, wait, I'll get your bill full before I leave.
No, I mean, it seems like an expression that was created by everyone but the people who are making that kind of music.
I think you're right about that. Maybe the writers created it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the record company at the time, I guess RCA, Jerry Bradley, or maybe him or Waylon or Tom Paul or somebody or some book writer came up with the term outlaw. I really don't know where it came from, but all of a sudden it was there.
Maybe they meant that this particular bunch of musicians were on the outside of like the established part of the music business.
I think so. I think if that was the case, then the outlaw term could have been used a long time before Waylon and I got to Nashville. It could have been used with Hank Williams and Hank Thompson and Bob Wills and Leon Payne, Floyd Tillman, and all these guys that saw fit to stay where they were and do their music in their own areas without operating exclusively out of Nashville.
It's always been that kind of a personality that's always made country music progress, hasn't it?
I think so. It's the guy that's not afraid to go ahead and do it the way he thinks it ought to be, regardless of what people around him tell him.
But when you're actually in that position, do you really think of yourself as an outsider?
Well, even more so when you find out that you're trying to do something that no one else wants you to do. You realize that you're really an outsider, that you're there on the inside and you're on the outside.
And when that happens, are they trying to convince you that they're right, that their way is right, that your way is wrong?
Sure, and they have everything in their favor because what they're saying is workable and saleable and commercial is something that's already worked and sold and it's proven to be commercial, so they're not taking any chances.
But it kind of like do they ever try persuasion with you? Do they ever say, oh, well, look here, let me hear these charts and graphs?
Well, they probably would if they thought I would have listened, but I probably gave off an attitude that made them think that I wasn't interested, because I felt like that I knew what I was doing, even back then. But there were most of the times when I was recording, I would go along with what I was told, even though I didn't agree with it particularly. There wasn't. I just seemed like I was in a sort of a trap. It was either do it their way or not do it at all because there wasn't anybody else standing around offering me any record contracts.
Does help, I guess, if they're waiting for you.
Sure.
But I'm curious, to be on the outside, when you're on the outside, back to this point of really believing, you can't really believe you're too much on the outside because you got to think you have a chance, right?
Well, you have to believe that even though you're on the outside that you're right and the people on the inside are wrong. And as long as you keep believing that, well, you can go ahead and stay with it a little longer. But if you start thinking that you're doubting yourself, then you're in trouble.
There's a stranglehold. Until recently, there's always been a stranglehold with Nashville, I guess, on country music. Most people who may not really be versed in the history of country music or what it's about, or just listen to it occasionally, maybe when a record crosses over. Maybe if you could describe for them what that's like, what Nashville is like, because it's really a small, I understand, a small kind of one-horse town in a way that has this dominant business, in a sense.
Well, I think a lot of that has changed because in fact, I know a lot of it has changed because Nashville businessmen or record company businessmen who are operating in Nashville are just like record company men in New York and California in the respect that they all like to make money, and whenever they see something that's selling and they're not in on it, well, naturally they're going to get in on it. So if Nashville was behind it last year, they're up closer to it this year, I guarantee that.
Because back a few years ago when you were back there.
Well, back a few years ago, they were sure they were right and I was wrong, and or that guys like me were wrong. Anyone that was trying to do anything different was going to be frowned on by the powers that be, because what they were doing was working to a certain extent, to a limited extent, really. And what I was trying to do, I felt there was a larger audience waiting for what I wanted to do. But I was the only one that was convinced of that at the time.
Well, you'd been out there. I mean, you got to know your audience, right?
Sure, I would go out and had been out there all my life playing beer joints all over the country, not only Texas, all over the world, and I knew what people wanted to hear. I felt like I did. I knew what the ones in there come up and ask me, and I didn't feel like they were that much different from people all over the rest of the world. They'd come up and request a song like Coconut Grove or Harbor Lights or Stardust, and then San Antonio Rose and Fraulein, and they didn't know they were jumping over boundaries. They thought it was all good music to them, and so did I, until I found out there were actually people who thought that this should be labeled this way and that labeled that way, and I was confused.
This is the same sort of thing you hear from black people, who want to get beyond rhythm and blues. It's a very similar kind of struggle, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure is.
Is there a danger that outlaws could become in-laws?
Oh, yeah. So in fact, I guess history proven that most of them have. When the time came to what they were doing became not so outside, then all of a sudden they found themselves inside.
And so then there's a whole danger of becoming the new establishment.
That's right. Then all of a sudden you're the new establishment, and then there's some more people outside trying to get in, and it's a vicious circle, I guess. But I'm always in favor of the people who are on the outside, really.
You're bringing them in, I understand.
What do you say?
I understand you're bringing them in down there in Texas.
Well, maybe so.
I mean, that you find writers and young pickers and...
Oh, there's a lot of talent around. Well, not only Texas, there's a lot of talent everywhere. There's a lot of young people that are really good musicians. They play any kind of music, and they play it all real well. And I think there's a room on a lot of labels for some more new artists. If they check around, they'll find them playing around their local bar somewhere.
Yeah, it's always the new discoveries are, in a basement someplace, or down the street from where you live, and people who really know what it's all about. Let's go back in history if we can and figure out how you got into this room. Okay?
Find out how I got in this room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or any room. How wide is the spot in the road in Abbott, Texas?
Well, now it's Abbott is not a very big town. It's a population of maybe a couple of hundred, and I stayed there until I was graduated from high school.
But you were playing really young, right?
Yeah, I started out playing in a bohemian polka band when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and it was in a town 6 miles away from my hometown in West Texas, 6 miles away from Abbott. And then I started playing around on a radio station there, and 10 miles north of Abbott, there was a radio station called KHBR in Hillsboro, and we'd go over there on Saturdays, and we had a radio show there. And so I just tried to play every chance I got. Every time anybody would sit still long enough, I'd grab a guitar, strap a song on them.
Was there a moment in your life when you picked up the guitar and you realized, this is me, this is the way I can express myself? And
yeah, I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. I never had any doubts at all. I've had to take other jobs along the way, but there was never any doubt in my mind that I wanted to be a country music singer.
Did you have some weird jobs? Really off the wall?
Well, I suppose. Of course, I started out in Abbott. I started out doing a lot of farm work. We'd pick cotton, bale hay, and pull corn. And then I was a telephone operator, too. That's before my voice changed. We had a telephone exchange building in Abbott, and my sister and I would be the relief telephone operators while the main operator would take off on her night off to go to a movie or something. We'd go in and run the switchboard and listen in on all the conversations.
Oh, some really juicy stuff?
Find out all the gossip.
Did you learn how to say Nayan?
No, and then after that I went to the Air Force and hung out there a while, and I got me a band when I kind of got out, and I started traveling around over Texas playing in bars and honky-tonks. And my sister was playing the piano. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, was playing bass. My football coach was playing trombone, and my dad was playing fiddle. So we did that for a long time.
Just running around Texas?
Yeah, and then I went to...
Were you writing then?
No, not very much. I was writing a little bit. I was writing some songs that I didn't record them because they weren't really that good.
Were you writing at that time to get something off your mind, or to see if you could write a song?
I was writing because I guess I don't know. I was writing poems back when I was too young to didn't know any chords on the guitar. I was still writing poems, and then once I learned to play the guitar, I started writing melodies to the poems. So I'd written songs, but I didn't really come up with anything that I felt like was worth anything until I was up 20, 25 years old.
So you were just like experimenting with it?
Yeah. Well, I was writing, and I was singing them around in different clubs and getting requests for them. And I was a local hero there. But I knew that local is about all it was going to get with those songs that I was writing, so I had to come up with something better. So I eventually started writing better.
Well, that's all there is to it?
Yeah. This ain't good enough to get there.
I mean, there's a little bit more to it than that. You go, I better write a better song.
Well, I graded it. Out of a possible 10, I got a 3 out of it, so I figured I better go on from there. It wasn't good enough.
Were there any...
I really was pretty critical of my own writing. I still am, I think. I hope I am.
You have to be, really, because it's hard. Really, nobody else will tell you.
That's true. If you don't know it's bad, then you might not ever know how bad it was.
Because a lot of people standing around tell you it's good. And a lot of people are willing to tell you it's bad, but they won't tell you why.
Yeah. Well, maybe they don't know. Maybe it's just something that doesn't really knock them out, or they don't know the reason why. But if it doesn't really knock the writer out either, he shouldn't be out there trying to push it.
Were there any themes you were getting into in those early songs that maybe you got to develop later?
Any themes?
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like I got in the house song thing there, where I'd write a lot of songs about houses. Hello Walls, that's where my house lives, and then there was went through a whole period there where everything I would write would have windows or doors in it.
Freudian did a lot of fun with that.
I guess maybe so. There's probably a big reason behind it. I don't know.
Writing songs about your garage, your Frigidaire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Was this? When did you go to Nashville? When was it? Did you start working your way towards Nashville?
I went to Nashville in, I guess, latter part of '59. I was living in Houston at the time, and I had a '46 Buick, I believe it was, that I was 3 payments behind on, so I had to get out of town anyway. So I just drove it to Nashville, and it settled the earth about the time we got to Tennessee, and it never rolled again. And I went to work writing songs for Pamper Music for $50 a week. And about 3 months after I hit Nashville, I started getting some songs recorded. Hello Walls was the first one that I got recorded. a song called Congratulations, which was on the other side of Hello Walls. Farron Young recorded 2 songs of mine, and he put them out back to back. And Congratulations, Hello Walls. We all thought Congratulations was going to be the hit side, and the Hello Walls was, too crazy to ever hit. And but Congratulations, nobody's ever heard of before and after. Funny How Time Slips Away, Crazy, Nightlife.
Was there a story about Hello Walls, how you came to write that?
There's a small garage out behind the publishing company, which was a resident's house that had been changed into a publishing company out in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, about 10-15 miles north of Nashville. And Hank Cochran and I would sit out there during the day and write songs in this garage. And there was a piano there, and there was a door and a window and a guitar, and that was about it. So we were out there that one particular day, and I started writing this song, and the hello. I started talking to the walls again, and Hank got a phone call and had to go up to the front to talk to someone on the phone. And while he was gone, I wrote Hello Walls. He was only gone about 10 minutes. And when he was leaving, I said, "Hey, I've got this idea for a song, and I want you to help me write it." He said, "Okay, I'll help you when I get back." And so by the time he got back, I'd already finished the song, so he missed out on half of Hello Walls.
Should have regretted that.
Fortunately.
Yeah. Regret that one for a long time. How did it feel when you wrote a song? You were really critical about your writing, as you mentioned, and you wrote a song and it got recorded and it was a big hit. Do you feel a sense of that you've been justified?
Yeah, I felt like I was right. That it was a good song, that I wasn't wrong about it.
And it kept you into writing for all the rest of them.
Yeah, it gave me a lot of incentive, encouragement to go ahead.
I've always been curious because I always hear about people having jobs writing for $50 a week. Does that mean that you don't get to participate when it becomes a hit?
No, it just means that this $50 a week is in advance toward royalties. And if the song makes any more money than that, well, at statement time, you'll get the rest of your money.
Oh, so you were okay?
Yeah, I was okay by the time statement time come around.
It's hard to live on $50 a week.
Yeah.
Even then. How do you live on $50 a week?
Well, you don't. You don't.
What do you do?
I don't know. My all heating bill in the wintertime, there was $40 a week. So I don't know how I lived on 50. Yes, I do. I didn't pay my oil bill.
Got lots of warm clothes. At some point while you're writing these songs and watching other people have hits, and they were really good songs, they're probably very good records, you must have felt, gee, I could do that, and probably better.
What was that? Say that again now?
Well, when you watched other people getting hits with your songs, you must have felt at a certain point that you could do it, maybe even better, singing them yourself.
Well, yeah, I thought so. I thought I could do equally as well. However, I also knew that I wasn't as hot a recording artist as some of these people were, too, and that I'd much rather have their record of it out there than mine at the time. And Farron Young was a well-known, established recording artist when he did Hello Walls. Patsy Cline, she did Crazy, and
great little singer.
Yeah, and it would just made more sense for me to get my songs recorded by people who were selling records. And not only did it make sense to me, it made sense to the record companies too, because they weren't offering me any recording contracts at the.
Would you want to be singing?
Sure. Oh yeah, I wanted to sing. I'd been singing up until the time I got to Nashville, and when I found out I couldn't sing, when I got to Nashville, they started telling me that I should start writing more and stay away from the singing end of it. So I was really beginning to get confused.
It must have been quite a shock to have somebody else tell you couldn't sing.
Yeah, really.
See, I thought I could sing. So what'd you do about it?
Well, I didn't listen to them, really. I just kept singing. Because I knew they couldn't be right.
You were recording, though, around this time, weren't you? Like
I made an album for Liberty. Joe Allison produced the album, and it was the first album that I ever made. And I had all those songs on there, Hello Walls, Crazy, Funny How Time Slips Away, on an album called And Then I Wrote for Liberty. And it sold about 30, maybe 35 copies. And I had several of those back to back, about 30 30 albums, or maybe not quite that many, 25 or 30 albums that didn't really set the woods on fire.
They must have sold enough for you to keep recording them, right?
They sold enough for the recording companies to keep putting money into me. I never could figure that one out. That was always a mystery. If I was so bad and was selling so few records, why do they keep putting thousands of dollars into my recording sessions?
You didn't bother asking, of course.
Well, I yelled and asked a lot of people, but no one had the answer. And I still don't know the answer.
Were you going out?
Still a big one for me.
Were you running around the country building up a following, playing in clubs and touring and supporting your records? And
Yes, I was. I was working a lot. I had a band, traveling around, working in lots of places, made several trips overseas, and wasn't making a lot of money, but I was working a lot of days.
So you're building up a following.
Yeah.
It would become your base in years to come.
Sure.
When you're out on the road, are you? Two things. First, do you write on the road? Because a lot of people can't do that. And secondly, do you take the experiences that you see and kind of put them into songs? Because you get to meet a lot of people that way. Different kinds of people.
Yeah, I think most of my writing is done on the road or going down the highway, and it's either about me or something that's going on around me immediately.
Are you like is your mind like a camera in a sense? Are you recording scenes that?
Well, when I find my mind finds something that I guess it thinks I should remember, well, and I try to take a picture of it and keep it in mind. And if I write something, I try to remember the lyrics till I can get to a tape machine or something. And if I don't remember it, well, then I don't. I figure it wasn't worth the remembering if I can't retain it that long.
So anyway, there you are in Nashville, releasing 30 records to 30 people.
Yeah.
30 loyal fans. At some point, you decided to go, huh?
Well, my contract ran out with this recording company that I was with, and so I went to another recording company, and I had similar problems. The recording companies would spend the money and make my albums and release them, but about the time that I started doing pretty good with this other recording company that I went to, they closed down their country music promotional department, so I was left without a label again. So I went to CBS, to make a long story short, and CBS has let me make records the way I want to make them, and they've been selling them the way they want to sell them, and we've had a pretty good relationship.
Well, the recording company, that was Atlantic's
Right. Yeah, they closed down their country music department right after they released that album.
Must have had quite a profound effect on them.
Yeah, really, and me too.
Heard about people not knowing what to do with products.
But closing down the store just so they won't have to sell it.
Oh, extreme. When you moved to, when you went to Austin, left Nashville, I think there's a story that you had just signed to RCA around this time. And
when I left Austin for Nashville or Nashville for Austin? Oh, I just left RCA and had just gotten into the Atlantic.
Because I remember hearing a story where you had, maybe I have this wrong. Obviously.
Now, wait a minute. Let me get it straight. I went to Texas twice. Right after my house burned, I went to Texas and moved down there, and then I went back this last time down there. So which time were you?
Must be after your house burned. Must have been after your house.
Yeah, I was still on RCA then, and had several years to go.
Is that the story where they said, "Oh, Willie, you're supposed to have an album by Monday"?
Yeah, I was living in Texas at the time, and my producer, Felton Jarvis, was one that called me and said, you're supposed to record Monday and I didn't have any material. So I went to Nashville and started trying to write. So I wrote 7 songs the night before the session. And I wrote the rest of them the next day.
How do you feel about them now when you look back at something?
They're not too bad. At the time, I said, God, this has got to be a bunch of, pretty bad stuff to come about it this quick. It can't be that good. But it was okay. It was better than I thought it was.
We used to play a game, my friends and I, sometimes, about, you think you've got the blues? Well, the blues is really, and then we'd go into this and, into some weird image. And I was reading about the day that your house burned down. Can you tell me that story?
Well, what did you hear? And
what is it? Your house burned down. God, was it your wife left you? Your house burned down, and
oh, that one year, all those things. I had 4 cars wrecked, and my wife left me in a divorce. My house burned. And
that was sort of cosmic. That's where. What you're going to do now? Or?
It was an interesting year. Yeah. The day before my house burned, Hank Cochran and I sat down and wrote this song called "What Can You Do to Me Now."
Talk about karma.
Really?
You finally left Nashville for good, right? For reasons we discussed earlier.
Yeah, I moved back to Texas and started trying to make the circle smaller, try to play and just concentrate in a smaller area and see how that would work. And it turned out that it worked real well. The area I chose was a good area, Texas, and there were a lot of people down there that, that were fans, and so I could pay the bills while I was trying to get my little plan together.
Did you have a plan?
Well, yeah, I just decided that I was going to have to go back and start all over again, and that was my plan, to go back to Texas where I knew that I had some sort of base to work with and try to enlarge the circle as I could.
So you chose Austin?
Chose Austin. I started doing my picnics down there and to try to call some attention to what we were all doing down there.
The first one was 72, was it?
Yeah, Dripping Springs.
And you just invited a lot of musicians, everybody you know, to come down? Or how'd that...
Well, since I had been in Texas, I'd run across some people there that I thought had a lot of talent, and I wanted to have them on the show. So Ray Wiley Hubbard and Steve Fromholtz and these guys that are now on Lone Star Records. And then I called some more friends of mine who at the time weren't that hot either. They was struggling along like myself. It was Chris Christopherson and Rita Coolidge and Waylon Jennings. And one guy that in the rock and roll field that I called to come down, who was not having any trouble at all. He was probably one of the hottest guys around in the country. Was Leon Russell at the time. So when he came down, along with Chris and Waylon and all these other, Charlie Rich, and all these guys came down, then we drew a crowd. We had around 50,000 people there, and so people started paying attention to what we were doing down there. And the next year we had another picnic. They had the second one, and the second one was in College Station. It was a 3-day picnic, and we had around 75 acts down there, and we had about 150,000 people. And the next year was in Liberty Hill, and the next year was in Gonzales, and then the year after that we went to Tulsa, and then last year we went to Dallas, the Cotton Bowl. So we've been having one every year, and the crowds have been good every year, and we keep calling attention to what we're doing, and I think that's probably helped as much as anything to to get people aware of who I was and who all these other people were that we were trying to hype over the years.
Are these like, aside from the music, is it anything like a regular picnic that, a family might have or a company might have, where there are games and craziness? And
it's not like your regular, normal Sunday afternoon picnic, really, unless, instead of ants, we had a lot of beer, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, people who've been to outdoor concerts, they have a lot of fun. This was a little different than the regular normal outdoor concert because we were out in a cow pasture out 50 miles from anywhere. So we didn't have all the conveniences of, those football stadiums or the places where you normally would have an outdoor concert.
I'm sure the cows showed everybody what to do, though.
Oh, sure. Everybody found out. Everything took its natural course.
Yes, indeed. Those concerts, those first picnics were known for really bringing two groups of people together who weren't supposed to be together, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Hippies and rednecks.
Right.
And since a lot of your songs, a lot of what you've done is about, tolerating other people, it must have been kind of fun for you to see that.
It was, yeah. That was real rewarding.
Was the slow truce, was like the first year maybe kind of uneasy with everybody, and then maybe by the second year they learned how to live with each other?
Yeah, the first year was that I noticed this happening was not my show. The first year was the first annual Dripping Springs reunion, which was the year before my first annual 4th of July picnic. It was in the same place, but it was in March, where the weather was not as good as it is in July, and also the promotion around the show wasn't that good. But the idea was basically the same as mine, is to call a lot of country people together and a lot of and around Austin, you have the University of Texas, so naturally you got 50,000 young people to draw from at least, and then you have your normal local people, your country music fans, and so these people came out, and so the college students came out. So there was what I believe to be the first real mixing of the rednecks and the hippies, and they all sat down around each other and smoked beer, and drank beer, and smoked marijuana, and liked each other. And the next year, it was a little bit better. And each time they got together, they found out they weren't quite as afraid of each other as they thought they were.
Yeah, I guess the fear thing is a good point, because
yeah.
the next, even though they got violent, they're afraid of the hippies.
Well, sure, and excuse me, and vice versa. I mean, I think it was mostly fear, 90% fear.
Music and poetry have always been levelers, haven't they? They're really always kind of like, in situations like that, like put everybody on the same level, real fast.
Yeah, I would think so. I would hope that was, that somebody would do that.
You were the one. Your first album was on Columbia. Was the first one Red-Headed Stranger on Columbia?
Right.
This is they gave you, as I recall, total creative control, which is something you'd fought for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably expected 10 nice country tunes. Instead, they got this entire concept album with old stuff coming in and things going in and out, and a country album unlike any that had ever been recorded.
Mm-hmm.
First, it was really gutsy for you to do it. I mean, was this an idea that you had for a long time in your mind?
Well, no, it wasn't. The idea came after the deal with CBS, where they had told me, well, you can do what you want to do now, and what are you going to do? And so I didn't know. So this song, "The Red-Headed Stranger," was a song that I used to. I was a disc jockey in Texas years ago, and the song first came out, and I would play it every day. And there was a show, like 1 o'clock in the evening, I would have like a 15-minute show that I would play kiddies tunes for the mothers that would want to give their kids a nap. I said, okay, you kids, I'm going to play you some music, and then you go to sleep for Mom. And I'd play Red-Headed Stranger, and I'd play some of the novelty tunes that Tex Ritter had out at the time, and some of the kiddie songs. I'd do 10 or 15 minutes of those. And I got a lot of requests and a lot of response for the Red-Headed Stranger, and I loved the song, and I sang it to my kids at night, bedtime stories. Still tell them bedtime stories. I'd sing them Red-Headed Stranger, and they knew it word for word by the time they were grown. And so my wife, Connie, suggested that I write a concept album around that one song. So it was really her idea. And I didn't have any ideas, so I went with hers.
She decided to compose this John Ford movie.
Yeah.
Were you into movies like that as a kid? Were you like into those great West epic?
Oh yeah.
What were some of the ones like you were?
Well, I went to every Western I could go to. Every Saturday I'd go down to the movies, and we'd see every cowboy that made movies, from Charles Starrett, Don Redberry, Hopalong and Cassidy, Buck Jones, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers. These were my, Western heroes. It was back before John Wayne and these guys had become big stars.
Johnny Mac Brown was
Johnny Mac Brown, yeah. I saw him in person one time. Got his autograph, yeah.
I really love Johnny Mac Brown. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And then there's like the original Stagecoach.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you were going for in the album? You're trying to in a sense, recreate that? Or?
Yeah, I had a movie in mind when I wrote the Red-Headed Stranger album, and they're doing a movie now. There's going to be a movie made on the Red-Headed Stranger, and but that's really what I had in mind. I thought, well, I'll write a movie and put music behind it.
Just like that.
Yeah.
So now you bring this album into the company, which is just giving you total artistic freedom and probably not getting what they thought they were getting.
Mm-hmm.
What did they say?
Well, of course, I wasn't in the meeting when they first heard the album. My manager was there, and the guy from CBS, and Waylon Jennings was there. Waylon had went over for the reason, I think, to kind of be representing me there in the office since I wasn't there. And I don't think the album was really knocked out to people at CBS, and I know it didn't, because it was, like you say, it was a little bit different from what they expected. But Waylon kept telling them how good he thought it was, and I think he was probably the one that maybe pushed it over for me. If I hadn't have been there, they might have not have thought as much about it. I don't know. I really don't know since I wasn't there. I don't know, but I do know that they wanted to put some strings on it and some sweeten it up a little bit, as they say. And I wouldn't do that because I didn't have to do that. Before, I'd had to do that if they'd said that. But anyway, it turned out that it sold pretty well without the strings, and and not that I have anything against strings. The Stardust album has strings all over it, but I just didn't feel like on some songs don't have to have strings on them.
Some people pointed out, in fact, it was Stu Jacobs pointed out that on the records are kind of, very basic in terms of musical accompaniment. And not mellow, I don't think mellow is the right word, but getting there. And then in concert, I mean, you really cook, it really stomps.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to know, and I do too, why is it that the records are approached in a way totally differently than the shows, or are they?
Well, first of all, there's no audience there, and the energy level is only 50% without the audience. When the audience comes in and you have another entity there, and so you get another sound, and there's no other way to explain it that I know of.
So you're going for two entirely different listening experiences. Huh?
Sure. You can't expect to get the same sound in a studio that you get on a live performance because you don't have the audience, and there's anywhere from 100 to 10,000 breaths that are not you're not hearing on they're not there.
So you haven't been tempted to overcompensate for that in an album by really making the album kick?
No.
Did that answer your question, Stu?
Yes, thank you very much. You know the beer in here, by the way, as long as we stop there for a second.
You got some beer?
Can you know that?
Yeah, sure.
Here comes the beer.
Thank you.
That's Willie.
Yes.
Say hello.
Hey.
You're a friend of Clayton Gibson?
Sure.
Ace?
Yeah.
He's a good friend of my wife.
Yeah.
Well, nice seeing you.
Yeah, thanks for the beer.
Took me a while to get used to those.
Mm-hmm. I'm still not used to it.
I don't think it's going to hurt me more than when I used to put the things in there.
Yeah, those were terrible. Those were bad.
Are we back to rolling?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Star doesn't have those rings, I don't think, do they?
What did you say?
Lone Star doesn't have those rings.
Oh, Lone Star.
No, sir, Lone Star does not. Coors got them. Lose your fingers.
That's right. That'd be nice. Now, this band that you've had for a long time, most of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about some of the guys in the band? And
well, Paul, Paul English is one of the drummers, and Paul and I have been together for years and years. He is from Fort Worth, Texas, and when I was living in Fort Worth, I had a radio show there, and I had a noon 12:30 live show, and I had my band there. Well, wasn't much of a band. It was me and a couple more guys. Oliver English, Paul's brother, would play guitar, and then I had a drummer. Well, I forget the drummer's name. Oliver's friend who brought in, and I had a steel guitar player. But on this particular show, the drummer didn't show up. And Oliver's brother, Paul, came down to visit us on the radio show. And so we put Paul over to play the drums and hand him the brushes and said, "Now you do this and you play this way and on this song." And so he played drums on that first radio show, the first time he ever played drums. And he didn't do that great, but over the years he's improved a little bit.
You hired him just the same.
Yeah,
Sure. How long?
Well, this was in the radio show was in 53, 54.
So you're no stranger to radio shows.
Oops, no. I'm no stranger to missing my mouth.
Well, that's comforting to know.
Yeah. Explain that to your listeners one of these days.
We'll just edit that out.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who's been there that long?
Well, of course, my sister and I have been together for most all our lives. And Jody Payne's been with me now about 4 years. Mickey Raphael, harmonica player, about 4 years. He's from Dallas. Jody Payne plays guitar, and he is from Kentucky. He used to be married to Sammy Smith. And I don't know why I brought that up. He never did want me to. Who else? Rex Ludwig, another drummer. And I have 2 drummers. And I got 2 bass players, Chris Etheridge and B. Spears. It's kind of unusual, I guess, for a country band to have 2 bass players and 2 drums, but
Heavy on the rhythm.
Yeah. But I like it because it means less work for me.
If Chris Etheridge has been around for a long time, too, right?
Yeah, Chris was with the Graham Parsons and the Flying Burrito Brothers when they were going strong. And he's worked with a lot of different people up through the years.
I read so many word portraits about Austin, about, stumbling around the streets at night, what you find out, and, what goes on in Armadillo World headquarters, and et cetera. That I thought that we should ask the man who actually knows the town. Can you give us like a brief tour and tell us if it's really that crazy? And
I've stumbled through all the streets there. I don't know what you've heard about it, but it's all true.
Well, it's a real nightlife town, right?
Sure, there's I don't know, there's probably 40 or 50 places in Austin where you can hear a live band each night. And I don't know of any other town of that size that has that much live entertainment going on.
Certainly LA doesn't. It's a little bigger.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why Austin seems to have more. The audiences seem to be, support live bands, but they do. And I guess that's why a lot of guys now are, heading that direction to make music, because there's a lot of places down there to play.
Do you ever worry about Austin becoming the next Nashville?
Well, I don't worry about it. There's probably some people in Austin that worry about it. I don't think that there's any danger of Austin becoming another Nashville or another L.A. or another San Francisco or really another anything. Because even though there's even though there's 40 or 50 nightclubs down there, there's maybe 1 or maybe 2 recording studios in the whole town, and they're not doing all that much business either, so there's nobody threatening the recording industry at all down there.
Yeah. I heard it was kind of town where anything is accepted. I was reading about this novelist who apparently is a friend of yours. His name escapes me. Walked into a place wearing a bear suit, and everybody said, "Oh, hi."
Bud Schrage, yeah. Old Bud in his bear suit, yeah. No one pays much attention to what's going on. B. Spears, my bass player, we went down to San Antonio one night and played, and he showed up in a pair of white long handles with a pair of dyed jockey shorts, red over the top, and a T-shirt and some kind of cape that he'd thrown together, and so he came as Superman that night, and no one even looked up from their beer when he walked by. It really made him mad. He went to all the trouble for nothing.
Maybe it's part of the...
Well, they didn't know who he was, but they didn't care. He looked okay. In fact, looked kind of cute, really.
Talk about tolerance. It's a way of life down there.
He got 3 proposals before he got to the bandstand.
I'll check that place out. When did you and Waylon start whaling together?
Oh, that's good. Waylon was had a sit-down job in Phoenix at JD's club there named JD's in Phoenix. And he was making pretty good money, $400 or $500 a week, which wasn't too bad, for back then. Had a piece of the action there, and he came over to see me. I was traveling through and with a band and working out of Nashville, and he came over to talk to me and get some advice and see if he had a chance to go to Nashville. I think Chet or somebody had called him, wanted him to come up there, and I tried to talk him out of it. I told him to stay where he was.
Why did you try and talk him out?
Because I knew he wasn't going to make $500 a week in Nashville. And I felt like he could stay where he was at. And in fact, I gave him the same advice that I eventually wound up taking myself, as going back to where I originally came from and start the whole process there. And but Waylon went on to Nashville, and he's done pretty well, regardless of what I told him. But I still think he could have done the same thing had he stayed where he was.
Because he had to find out. I guess he had to find out for yourself.
You have to find out that, yeah. If you think Nashville is where you need to go, then you better go there quick and get it over with. And then get out.
There's a lot of people for whom $500 a week isn't enough.
Well, back then, $500 a week was okay, and when you start comparing it to what you would be making with a road band, after you pay all your expenses, then that's not really that bad money. It's pretty good, really.
Well, by that I mean it's not everything. You always want to find out, can you go?
Sure, yeah. He wanted to see if he could take it on to the top, and he did. And he might not have done it had he not gone to Nashville. So he probably did the right thing. But when he asked me what I would have done at the time, I thought I was telling him the right thing, to stay where he was at and take the 500.
Fortunately, he didn't listen to you.
Yeah, fortunately he did.
But apparently he's not mad at you for that.
Well, it doesn't seem to be.
When did you two start recording together?
I guess let's see. We did an album together, the Waylon and Willie album. Was it? I'm trying to remember if that was before or after Lukenbach. I think it was had to be before, maybe. Or after. I'm not. It's either before or after Lukenbach we did this album together.
Maybe it was the same week.
Sorry, can't be any more help.
Was that a project you two had been looking forward to doing for a long time? Or is it just fell together like, oh, let's make it?
We didn't think about it not ever coming out. We just went in the studio and cut an album, and then we let everybody else worry about the labels and all that. And sure enough, they figured it out, and they got the album out. If we had gone to, I think, the individual record labels and tried to get them to get together on some sort of an agreement before we went to the studio, we'd probably still be waiting for them to agree on something. But since we've already done it, and they had something in their hand, well, then that they thought they might make some money with, well, then they figured out a way to do it.
It must be a lot of fun when you have somebody who's in the same line of work that you are, who's I understand is about your best friend, or real close to.
Mm-hmm.
And like you respect each other and probably listen to each other's stuff for a long time. To actually go in the studio together and make a record, it must be really crazy.
No, it wouldn't really. Well, of course, Waylon's crazy all the time anyway, but he wasn't any more insane than normal. We did. We went back and tried to pick out some songs that I had done before. We were trying to put an album together of Willie and Waylon, right? So we didn't know what to do. We didn't have any idea what we were going to do. I'd gone through all his old material and all of mine, and we finally wound up putting it all together and using some of his band and some of his old tracks, and then I sang with them. And I don't know how it wound up selling. I'm surprised it sold 4.
Why is that?
Well, the way it was all kind of haphazardly thrown together, there was no, not that much organizational thought put into it.
Maybe people just haphazardly bought it.
Maybe so.
Reaching for a Who album and got Waylon and Willie.
That could be. Yeah.
And took it home.
We'll send them their money back if they'll just give us their name and address. I'll have them call you.
Right, that's area code 615. Who's this? You've been playing for the president. I don't know how to put this nicely, or simply, or with, or around, or he's come to. You played the White House, right?
Mm-hmm.
That turned into. Can you tell us about that?
Well, it was. Well, I enjoyed it. First of all, let me say that I had a good time. We were treated nice, and. But the way it came about was the race car drivers, NASCAR race drivers, were going to be entertained there in the White House, and the president wanted somebody to come in and pick for him, and so he called us and asked us if we'd come play. And we came. Of course, he was up on the mountain with Sadat and Begin, and he didn't get to make it down to the session. But we had a good time without him. And the people, Chip, his son, was there, and they all showed us through the White House, and they were really just good to us. they like our kind of music up there, and so they were good to us.
It must have been really weird. I mean, here's all these stories that we've read about you over the years. This 80 years away, this outlaw who leaves Nashville and does things on his own down in Austin and on the periphery, and gets a call from the President of the United States saying, play the White House. It must have. How did you feel? Did you believe it?
Well, yeah, because I had met President Carter before, and I knew he was a fan, so I believed it when he called me and told me that he wanted me to come and play. I was flattered. I don't remember ever too many country music pickers going to the White House and playing up until President Carter, got in office. Since then, there's been quite a few. I understand Charlie Daniels and all those folks were. So one thing that President Carter realizes the value of country music, and he realizes the potential listening audience that's out there, who are also potential voters, maybe. And that doesn't make him a bad guy either, because these politicians are supposed to think that way, I think. But all in all, we enjoyed him, and he was good to us. And he's a nice guy.
You get to talk to him?
Yeah.
What did you talk about?
Well, like I say, the night that we played in the White House, he didn't come down. He was up on the mountain, but we played at the Meriwether Postal Pavilion outside of Washington, D.C., and he came out to the show, and he came out and sat on the stage all the way through the show, and came out on the stage and shook hands with everybody in the band, and we, between shows, we'd sit downstairs and we'd talk for 15 or 20 minutes, I guess. And he took pictures with all the guys that were around and everything. It was great evening.
You got this record company now down there, Lone Star.
Yeah.
And you've been through so many record companies, and you've told us some really interesting tales about dealing with record companies. How's this company different?
Probably not any at all, except that the guys who were recording on it were told when they signed that they could have artistic control, that they could produce their own album and bring it to us, and Lone Star would do the rest. But other than that, we're in the business to sell records for these guys, and in that respect, we're the same as any other record company.
The artistic control is different. That's kind of a guarantee that some other young Willie Nelson won't be coming up and hearing some Lone Star executive say, songs are great, but we don't want you to sing them.
That's true, but it also puts it right on the artist. If he's not successful, if his album doesn't sell, if what he puts together is not a hit, then he can't say that it's the record company's fault.
There's no connection between the label and the famous Texas beer, is there?
No. There's, they don't own any part of the company. The guys at Lone Star Beer, Jerry Retzloff and those people down there are good friends of mine, and we work together a lot, and any time we can be associated with each other, well, it's good for both of us, I think.
But it's not like a relationship.
No, I don't endorse them, and they don't endorse me. We just hang out together a lot.
You've gotten a pretty good perspective on country music over the last, 30 years almost. And you've seen it really become part of the mainstream of American life. It probably always has been in the mainstream of American life, but people will admit to it now.
Right, I agree with that.
Could you kind of tell us about what you've seen from this perspective that you have when you look back on it?
Well, naturally, it's very gratifying to me to look back, because I remember when, if you were listening to country music, you pull up to a red light and your window's down, and someone pulls up and they hear you listening to the country music, you'll roll your window up so they won't know what you're listening to. It's been country music has been something that a lot of people were ashamed to admit that they liked, and for a long time. That's not true anymore. People are proud to say they like country music. It's a fashionable thing to do these days, and it's been really a gratifying experience to me to see all these things take place over the years. And it's been a slow change. It hadn't been that quick that it all happened.
Not at all. And to be part of it.
Yeah.
In a sense. The things that you've done it's always seemed to confound people in a way. Like people think, well, he's released this concept album. Now I know that I can lock him in. Now he's going to release another concept album. Now it comes Stardust, and he says, oh, he's going to be doing old songs. Well, now I know next when the live album comes out, which totally doesn't sound like anything I've ever done before. What's next?
Well, the next one is an album of songs written by Chris Christopherson, who I think is one of the best songwriters that ever lived. And people don't know it these days. They think Christopherson's a movie star, which he is, but he's also one hell of a songwriter. And songs like Help Me Make It Through the Night, Sunday Morning Coming Down, Loving Her Was Easier. He's got hundreds of them, and I'm doing an album of all his songs, and it should be out 2 or 3 months, maybe.
Good. That's it. I couldn't help noticing that the last 2 albums you haven't written any of the songs.
Well, I've got some new songs, but until I get 10 or 12, which will probably be not an album or 2 from now, I'll come out with an album of all my songs and maybe all new songs.
Is the reason you're writing less now? Is it the matter just you don't have time?
Not really. It's just that I have never written more than 10 or 12 songs a year, I don't think, in my life. But over the years, it's built up to several hundred songs. Most of these songs have now been released, especially with all the old songs that I had out before being re-released by other record companies now. So most everything that I've written has been released and re-released and then released again, and it's getting about time for me to do some more original material, because I've been off doing songs that other people have written, and because I wanted to do these songs. I wanted to do the Red-Headed Stranger album, and I wanted to do the Stardust album, and there's more albums that I want to do. There's 1,000 songs like the Stardust album has in it that can be recorded. There's a lot of songs like Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain laying around too that I want to do, but I'm still writing songs. I've got a song called Angels Flying Too Close to the Ground, and I'll probably that might be the title song of the album that I'll come out with all my songs. But I've got some new songs I'm really proud of. I've been waiting for the timing to be right, I think, to put them out.
Do you read critics?
Do I read critics?
Yeah,
oh yeah, sure.
And do you take them seriously, or do you learn from them? Or
I don't learn anything from them.
You throw reviews across the board?
No, well, the good ones I agree with, and the bad ones I throw away.
When I was thinking about that specifically, when in the reviews of Red-Eyed Stranger, where I saw...
How about Red-Headed Stranger? I like Red-Eyed better, but that's the follow-up.
Where I saw all these different explanations of what the album was all about, and I was imagining you kind of reading all these and chuckling. When you're explaining back to yourself, how do you feel when that happens?
Well, I chuckle a lot. I really do. It's nice to hear. It's funny to hear yourself explained in so many different ways.
You ever picked up the phone and called a reviewer? Or?
No, I've wanted to I'd read something that really, really make me hot. I said, well, if I could find him now, I'd break his neck. But I've never really found anybody. And by the time I saw him again, I wasn't really that hot at him. There was a girl that wrote a bad review on Stardust, and then she came back and wanted to do another interview with me. And I started to say no because of the bad review that she gave me, but I said, well, I'd like to talk to her and find out why she didn't like the Stardust album. And went ahead and did the interview with her, and it turned out she was a real nice girl. She just didn't like the Stardust album. And the next interview that she wrote was a real positive interview. So I guess, critics are entitled to their opinions, but I don't know what entitles them to be critics.
That's $1 million question. You're not the first one to ask that.
I think someone that would set themselves up and say, I am a critic, has got to there's got to be a little bit of conceit there.
Yeah, especially in popular music. I can understand being an art critic, I guess.
I can't understand that either. I mean, why is an art critic's eyes any better than mine? I mean, if he likes it, doesn't necessarily mean I have to like it just because he's a critic. Or if he don't like it, doesn't mean I have to hate it just because he don't like it. I think everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and to have one guy to sit down with a pencil and paper and be read by millions of people who might not realize that this guy don't know what the hell he's talking about, and that this is only one opinion, or to hear, to have a lot of people. Well, there's a lot of guys that can't stand bad reviews. It really bothers them ego-wise, and it really makes them go out on tangents and get drunk for weeks and leave their wives and kids and do crazy things. So I think for the benefit of these kind of people, the critics are to be locked up somewhere and not be allowed to say anything negative about anybody.
Well, if you take just for fun, I've never been a critic, so I really don't know.
Sure.
But say that there's 100 new albums that come out every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to buy one album.
Mm-hmm.
And now how do you know which one of the 100 ones to buy? So
listen to them. You're not going to buy it just because I tell you it's good anyway, are you? If I tell you this is a good album, are you going to spend $10 just on my word?
Well, the days of Wallach's, this is fun. The days of Wallach's Music City, where you could go in and like, oh, I think I'll listen to this record. Nah, I don't want that. Those are over. You can't do that.
Why not?
They won't play them for you in record stores anymore.
Well, I wouldn't buy anything I couldn't hear.
That's the spirit.
Really? I mean, I've never bought a record that I didn't heard. And if I hear it, well, then I'm entitled to my own opinion to say, well, this ain't no good. I don't want it. I don't want to buy it. But I don't want anybody else to tell me it's not any good before I get a chance to hear it.
Cleverly changed the subject.
Are you a critic by the chance?
No way.
Oh, okay.
I would never do it. There's one guy, one rock and roller who used to be a critic named Billy Joel. He tried being a critic for like 1 week, and he wrote a bad review, and we saw it actually in print. It made him feel so ashamed of himself that he quit.
Oh, well, God bless him. I love him for that.
Yeah, I could dig that. What kind of records do you buy when you go out?
Well, I buy the ones I like. I hear something on the radio I like, I'll go buy it. Or I'll have somebody go borrow it or something. I haven't spent a lot of money on records, but I don't steal the ones I don't like.
The studio audience. You've been playing live for a long time, and I guess finally decided to make a live record this time, right? Because you've been on the road a lot.
Oh, say that again.
After years on the road, you've made this live record.
Yeah, this is the second live album I've made. I made one in 1964, I believe it was, at Panther Hall in Fort Worth. Me and Wade Ray and Johnny Bush, there was three of us, and we did a live album. But that's the last one that I've done. I thought this one was a pretty good, I thought the sound was good. I thought everything was pretty good about this live album. I don't like to brag on my own albums, but live albums, I think you can brag on them or else not brag on them because they're either real good or real bad. And I thought this one turned out okay.
Was there a reason you felt compelled to do another live album? Aside from the fact that probably not a lot of people heard the first one. But
well, yeah, and plus even the first one, we do our show is different now than it was then, and so I wanted to get out to record our show the way it is right now.
So how many dates do you do a year, would you say?
Oh, I don't know, probably 250.
After
that was last year. This year we might not do that many because we're going to be doing a couple of movies. But
do you have a special bus that you take with you?
Or? 3 buses. I have a chuck wagon. We have a cook that travels and cooks for everybody on the chuck wagon bus, and we've got 2 more buses where the road crew rides in one, the band rides in the other.
Are they all decked out with little bedrooms and
yeah,
machines?
Yeah, oh yeah, fixed up real nice.
Living life on the road, it must be great when you get home. You got your family and your kids.
Not really. You don't.
It's really a drag when you get home, right?
It's really a drag. You don't get 24-hour room service anymore. I mean, there's a lot of things that just go down the drain when you get to the house. My wife and I talk about this a lot whenever she speaks to me. Because I really do feel like we're not getting as good a service at home as we're getting on the road. And I'd like to register a complaint for all the pickers and musicians, to all the wives around over the world. We want 24-hour room service.
Yeah.
Let's see. Like a limo and a Lear. Whenever we go to the house, to the store, or the 7-Eleven, we got to have transportation. We can't be driving our own car anymore. No, I'm kidding, of course. But going home is a problem sometimes because you stay out on the road and you get you get acclimated to the road and the Holiday Inns and the 24-hour room service and whatever, and you go home and it's an entirely different thing. And it takes, and if you're only home 4 days, and if you sleep the first 2, and the next 2 you're waiting for your 24-hour room service, you don't get it, and then it's time to catch the bus back out on the road again.
I know a lot of road rats who just go crazy when they get home. I mean, after a couple of days, they just get stir crazy.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, I can stay. Well, we were just off 3 weeks, and that's 2 weeks too long for me.
Did you go someplace?
Yeah, well, I went along. I stayed a week out here. I went to Hawaii for a week, and then I tried to go home for a week, and I just couldn't make it at home. So I had my wife come out on the road with me. I think we may sell the house and just get another bus.
Right, a bus with and then pulling back. And
yeah, there you go.
Movie Sullivan's Travels. You ever see Sullivan's Travels?
No.
With the land yacht, it was like a real 30s deco land yacht with a pool in it and tennis court. Absurd. Anyway, do you think you're going to stay on the road like this? I mean,
yeah, I want to stay on the road as long as I can, as long as I'm having a good time.
You're not one of those guys that's constantly complaining about the road and saying it's a real grind.
No, I hate those guys that do that because they're bullshitting themselves. Can you take out the bullshit and then put in kidding? Okay.
But they're kidding themselves.
They're kidding themselves. It's not that hard, really. They can make it hard. It's just like your job. You can make it as hard or as easy as you want to make it. But traveling on the road is a lot of fun. And playing music and going up and down the highway on buses is a lot of fun. I don't care what they say. If they're not having fun, it's their own fault.
You know, I was confused when people complain about the road, but everybody I've ever been on the road with is laughing constantly.
Yeah.
You know, more laughing than anywhere else. If somebody had told you in your childhood that you would grow up to be this, grow up to be Willie Nelson, would you thought it was?
Well, yeah, I probably would have, because I didn't have any idea that these things were going on.
It was kind of like a dream that didn't come true, or
well, a dream that I didn't know about. I had no idea people were interviewing people in California when I was growing up, and that you could be sitting here and getting brought over in a limo and going over to staying in a fine hotel and going out and playing Anaheim Convention Center. I mean, all these things I didn't know about when I was growing up. And if someone had told me about them, I would have known whether to laugh or cry.
That's been worthwhile. Did you come from a Bible Belt kind of family with a real religious upbringing?
Yeah, I was raised right next to a tabernacle in Abbott, where every summer the Baptists and the Methodists and the Church of Christ would all have revival meetings that last for anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. So all through the summer, with about 100 yards away from my window, was preaching and religious services and singing every night. So every year it was that way. I was raised that way.
Did that stay with you?
Sure. Yeah.
In what way? I mean, are you still religious, or?
Well, I still believe there's a God. There's nothing happened to to change that belief.
Good.
I still like the music that I learned back then that we sang. I think those songs still have a lot of good, positive thoughts in them, and people enjoy hearing them, and people enjoy singing them. We still sing them, a lot of those songs every night, with The Circle Be Unbroken, Amazing Grace, and things like that. And then the music has to be good, or else the people wouldn't yell and scream when they hear it. And it doesn't matter who's singing it, whether it's me or John Denver. Whenever they hear The Circle Be Unbroken, everybody just starts singing, jumping up and down. That's great. There's got to be something more there than just some words and music.
The feeling that comes through.
Sure.
Are you the kind of person that goes through for feel first before lyrics? You go for the music first?
It's something I feel like if the feel is right when you do the music, well then you've captured something. The feel has to be there.
A lot of the songs have been about loneliness and people leaving, and yet you've got this whole family kind of thing around you. Can you talk to us about the family? Is that the correct phrase?
Well, the family, you're talking about the people around me, the guys in the band and everything. We're all a big family, and probably as close, or not closer than most families in a home, because we lived together. When we're on the bus traveling down up and down the highway, we would live fairly close for several days in a row, and we have to like each other pretty well in order to be that close to each other. So everybody, there's probably 25 or 30 people that travel with us daily on these tours, and there's not anybody in the group that I don't like. We all get along well, and we all hang out together when we can. We enjoy it.
They're known for being real loyal to you, but more important, you're known for being real loyal to them. I understand, for example, probably the best paid group of people in the music business, for example. I don't know if they're really taken care of. You believe in that, don't you?
Sure. Well, I'd rather give it to the guys who are working for me than give it to the government. And once you get in a certain tax bracket, you're giving it away anyway after a certain point.
So keep it in the family.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts in the direction of country music, or
in the direction of country music?
Yeah, where it's going, where you're going. No, that's.
Music, I have a lot. I think about music a lot. Labels, I don't think about at all. I didn't know I was country until somebody told me I was. So I can't go around saying, "Well, where's country music going?" Because I don't know where country music's going. But I would like to continue to, make the music that I like to make daily, and wherever that goes, I want to go with it.
Okay, let's imagine there's a young musician, just plain musician out here, who's listening to this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Deciding whether to make music his life, deciding how far to go, deciding what risk to take. Something like Waylon Jennings was back in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say to that?
Well, I'd tell anybody to just go on and do what they want to do.
Whatever it is?
Whatever it is. It doesn't matter if they want, whatever they want to do, whatever they want to be. They're the only ones that can keep themselves from doing or being that. And just by not believing they can do it. If they want to do, they can do anything you want to do. That's my philosophy.
You're a big believer in it seems that what people have tremendous potential inside them to make their own dreams come true, aren't you?
Sure. I believe in positive thinking, and that you got to believe in yourself and believe that you can do it, and just keep believing it and keep thinking it, and you'll do it.
Did you ever doubt that for a minute? Did you ever think about giving up? Did you ever?
Sure, many times. Quit a lot of times.
What snapped you back?
Well, mainly when I realized that I couldn't quit, that I knew what I wanted to do, and I was going to do it, and whatever I had to do along the way to support myself, I would do it in order to get back into music along the way, because I felt like this is what I wanted to do. I've always believed that I would do it, and didn't want to be discouraged. I wouldn't listen to any negative thinking after a while. Once I found out how bad it was to think negative about anything, once I found out that one truth, well, then everything else kind of turned around for me. It wasn't how good it is to think positive, it was just how bad it was to think negative that I think snapped me and brought me around.
Yeah, because thinking positively alone doesn't do it.
Mm-mm.
I know a lot of folks that just...
Thinking positive won't do it, but thinking negative will take you so far away from where you want to go that it doesn't take long to see that negative is not where it's at.
Oh yeah, by not thinking positive, by saying that it doesn't do it alone. A lot of people are content to think positively and think that's going to be it.
Just to think positively and do nothing is not going to work. No, you got to do positive and think positive at the same time.
I know you have a sound check to go to, and do you have any final thoughts for the freedom-loving peoples of the world?
No, not really. No, really.
Okay, great. Have we covered everything in there, guys?
I think so.
Great. Well, thank you very
Okay,
much
sure.
for coming by our little home.
I enjoyed it.
Do you have some beer? Is that was that a project you two have been looking forward to doing for a long time? Or is it just fell together like, oh, let's make a record?
No, see, we were on different labels, so it wasn't that easy. I'd already left RCA and had gone to CBS, and he was still with RCA. So when we decided to do an album together, there was a lot of people that chuckled. They didn't think it'd ever come off, and it probably wouldn't have. But we didn't. we didn't have any, we didn't think about it not ever coming out. We just went in the studio and cut an album, and then we let everybody else worry about the labels and all that. And sure enough, they figured it out, and they got the album out. If we had gone to, I think, the individual record labels and tried to get them to get together on some sort of an agreement before we went to the studio, we'd probably still be waiting for them to agree on something. But since we've already done it, and they had something in their hand, well, then that they thought they might make some money with, well, then they figured out a way to do it.